Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today for a mixed media 12 by 12 scrapbooking layout. I'm just going to be doing a layout with a picture of my daughter, and I'm going to be using some acrylic paints, which really are that's sort of like the main thing with this layout. And I don't do a whole bunch of other embellishments and so on. So what I did was I actually did the painting on the mixed media paper ahead of time, but I'm just going to demo right now what I actually did for that picture of the blue background and then the dandelion. So I'm just going to use some heavy body Liquitex paint that I bought at Michael's. The color that I'm using there is called Light Blue Permanent, and I'm just going to lay that down on some mixed media paper using a spatula knife there, or palette knife, and I'm just putting it on quite thickly actually, and I only used one coat on my layout, and I'm only going to use one coat on this sample here. You can actually layer it up quite a bit thicker than that if you want. It's totally up to you. It's just kind of nice only putting it on with the just with the single layer, because it does add a little bit of, you can see through it a little bit, which kind of does add a little bit of dimension in itself. So you can see that mixed media paper does curl up a little bit when it's wet, but it does flatten out again once it's dry, and it dries very, very quickly. If you've ever worked with acrylic paint before, you know that the open time of acrylic paint is very short. And I used to do a lot of folk art or toll painting a number of years ago, and worked a lot with acrylic paint, and it, one of the nice things about it in certain ways is that it does dry quickly. So I'm just giving a little bit of help here for the sake of time. It's going to speed the process up a little bit. So and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dry brushing tool that I don't even know what the brush is called, but I'll show it to you right away here. And I'm just going to take some excess moisture out of that, and I'm going to use that for the majority of the painting of the dandelions. So I'm just going to put some titanium white Liquitex heavy body paint in there again. And yeah, you can just buy these at Michael's. I try to get them when they're on sale because they are really expensive, but sometimes you can get them for 50% off. They have a sale. You just have to watch, and that's the best time to buy them. So there's that scruffy brush that I've used for different kinds of painting techniques. I think I've used that for animal fur and stuff like that. But so what I do is I just get all the excess moisture out of that and get it ready to go. Now I'm just going to take this gray paint. I think it's Neutral Gray 5. Once again, that heavy body Liquitex, and I'm just going to take I think it's about a 1/2 inch flat brush, and I'm just going to pick up some of that gray paint, and I'm going to paint the stems of the dandelions in there. Just quickly, just a quick little stroke there. Just doesn't have to be perfect, obviously. This is pretty whimsical and just really, really fun, and just meant to be quick. And so just get those stems on there. And it's really important when you're working with, even if you're working with a cheap brush, if you're working with acrylics, to make sure that you keep those brushes wet until you have a chance to clean them properly, because acrylic paint is really, really hard on any kind of surface as far as, getting it out again afterwards. It won't come out of your clothing, and not very easily anyways. And so definitely not your brushes either, so you have to keep them wet. So there I'm just taking that, you can see I picked up that brush, and I daubed off some of the excess paint over on that piece of paper on the side to the right there, and now I'm just pouncing on that paper just to create the effect of the seeds of the dandelion. And I'm doing the perimeters of the dandelion first, just to create that darker outer perimeter, and then the inner part of the dandelion is going to be a lighter color, just to create a little bit of interest and make the center part perhaps look less dense, I suppose, I don't know, than the outside. Anyway, it just kind of looks interesting and neat that way. So, and I guess the light would be hitting the outer part of the dandelion too, as opposed to the more dense center part of it. I don't know. I'm not an artist. Just a crafter. So now I'm just going to take that round paintbrush, and I'm just going to dab in some larger seeds, and this is just adding in some texture. And you can actually get really thick and heavy with those little daubs of seeds that you add in there. And I actually added a lot more on my good copy, so to speak, than this sample. So you can add however many you want if you decide to do this yourself. It's just however you want to make it look. Now I mixed the gray and the white together a little bit, and I'm just adding a little bit of a highlight to that stem of the dandelion. And you know what? That's almost it. I'm just going to add a little bit of that grayish color down to those seeds at the bottom. And I think my sample's pretty much finished now, so I think I'm just going to show it to you, and I'm going to clean up my area here. So I've had so much trouble today with Movie Maker. I don't know if it's the phase of the moon or what's going on, but I'm not really sure how this is all going to turn out. So hopefully you're watching it and you're actually able to hear my voice. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe it would just, I know some people just have music to their videos, and I love that too. That's really relaxing to listen to and nice when you're watching. But anyhow, so this is my finished one that I did before. It's almost like a cooking show, right? Where they put the one in the oven and then bring the other one out that's already done. So I just am plugging in my glue gun there, and I actually don't wait long enough to heat the glue gun up. I get a little impatient, so I should have had that done beforehand. But anyway, it spits out some glue that's virtually not, well, it's not really even hardly liquid. And then I kind of change up my plan a little bit. But anyway, so I'm just going to adhere some glue to the back of that mixed media paper. So that white paper is actually mixed media paper. It's not cardstock. I like using the mixed media paper when I'm doing different kinds of processes, just because you don't have to worry about the paper buckling as much. And I just changed my Glue Arts refill there to a permanent one, just because I want that back to stick down really well. And I actually don't really use that much adhesive on this layout, because the majority of the layout is that acrylic painted piece on the left. So I just really liked how that blue pops off the page, and so I wanted that really to remain the focus. So I glued this down to a piece of 12 by 12 gray cardstock that I got in the hip kit. And that little wood veneer piece that says sweet, I painted it with the gray acrylic paint. It was obviously just wood grain before, and I didn't want any wood grain on the layout, so I just painted it gray. I actually could have made the title a little bit different than I did when I got thinking about it after, and I'll tell you why when I get to reading you what I wrote on here for journaling. But this is good too, and I mean, a person just has to use up these things that they buy, right? Like I bought this at Michael's. That sweet wood veneer. I just feel like I have to use those things, so I wanted to use that up. So the heart strips, the branding strips at the bottom, are from Amy Tan's Stitch. I think maybe it says sweet on it, but I can't really remember. I know that I show the camera what it is, but I'm using my new phone for videotaping now, so I don't know. I gotta sort that all out too. I'm not sure if the close-ups are really working or what the video quality is going to be like, so I'll sort that out. So now I'm just gluing those things down. The glittery strip at the bottom is just a piece of glitter paper that I bought at Michael's. I think I had it in my stash from a leftover bit of scrap from Christmas December daily stuff. So I grabbed that and stuck that on there just to frame it in a bit, just to sort of finish it off. And I like the hearts just because they kind of give it sort of a fun, youthful, I don't know, just makes it sort of seem more fun to me or something, because it's my daughter, and I don't know, I like those hearts, and she's young. She's only 20. She's just a baby. So I'm going to put those hearts on there and those strips, and can see the gray. The gray does work quite nicely with that aqua color, and then of course the white popping off the aqua with the dandelions. And just gonna keep gluing things down. And the only other embellishments really that I used, well, first of all, I'll talk about what I mounted Bailey's card on there, just white cardstock and vellum. That's all I used there. So I didn't use much for a layer. Just gonna hot glue this wood veneer down. Hot glue works. I find that it works a lot better when you're using the wood pieces. And then just underneath that sweet title, I have a rub-on that's Maggie Holmes' Open Book. And that rub-on is I have a little bit of trouble getting it on there because I should have just gone to the little kit and gotten the popsicle stick, but I'd already put it away and I was too lazy to go get it. So I grabbed what was handy on my desk, which in this case was a palette knife, and it doesn't work very well. And I used my bone folder, and anyways, I finally did get that on there. But the rub-on says, "I love everything about this." So I'm just going to finish putting that on there. So, there's just something really beautiful about simplicity, and sometimes it's just nice to make the layouts really simple and have a few of the elements really pop off the page. And I really wanted the dandelions and the teal paint or the aqua paint to really be the focal point with Bailey's picture. And so in the picture, she's actually out in a field. She has a dandelion and she's blowing it. And there actually was another person in the photograph, but I just wanted the printout to have Bailey in it, so I cropped that person out just using my Epson Photomate, and it actually worked really well because I was able to move, expand her photograph large enough that I could move her over to the side. And then it's, the rule of thirds thing too. It actually kind of looks nice that way. So I really like that photograph. And I'm just going to stick down now with some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. I'm just going to stick down that little piece, and that's from Millie's Studio, and it says Memories. And then the little piece that I'm sticking down there is from Maggie Holmes' Open Book. And it's just a little ephemera piece that says Exposure on it. It's just a little gray piece just to add some interest. And those little glittery hearts are from Heidi Swap off a sheet that I got at Michael's, I think, and it's all just glittery pieces like hearts and arrows and that kind of thing. And I'm going to add my journaling now and some dots. And the journaling says, when you look into a field of dandelions, you can either see 100 weeds or 100 wishes. I wish for you to have a fantastic day. And thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate your watching, and I hope this inspires you to use some acrylic paint or some other mixed media on your layouts. It's lots of fun. And there's those doodle bugs enamel dots, and that's it. That's it for this layout. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. Leave me a comment. Bye.